Hi, this is Francisco Gil-White interviewing Rabbi Uri Sherki on Arutz Tov. Thank you for joining us, Rav Sherki. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you today.
To me too, and I hope for all our followers.
Thank you. I'm very interested to speak to you, Rav Sherki, because I understand that you are chairman of Brit Olam, and that Brit Olam is an effort to reinvigorate and expand, we might say, I guess, the movement of the children of Noah. Would that be a proper way of describing it?
Yes, Noahism, as we call it, is a movement to promote the universal messages of Judaism.
Aha.
And a part of this universal message is also the laws of the son of Noah, but it is a part, and it is the core of this project, but it is much wider.
In other words, if you were to speak of the universal message of Judaism, it would not be limited, of course, to the 7 laws of Noah, but the 7 laws of Noah are an important component of the universal message of Judaism. Please tell us, what are the 7 laws of Noah, and who do they apply to?
Yes, 7 laws of Noah are absolutely universal. It is quite resemble to universal morality, not to practice idolatry, not to make blasphemy, not to kill, not to steal, not to have forbidden sexual relations, not to be cruel to animals, and have courts to judge the society. This is the 7 laws, and it is the basis. The basis because it is a negative definition, what not to do. But after that, you know what not to do, so you have the role of developing a good society and sane relationship with the divinity, and also with the people of Israel and with all the mankind.
Okay, so the 7 laws of Noah, we might call them the 7 basic laws of fundamental ethics, how to respect your fellow man, how to have a proper relationship with the divinity. And the 7th law, that you must establish your own courts, that is the law that invites us to develop an entire system that may have some points of close agreement with the 613 mitzvot of the Torah, but it doesn't have to have a full intersection with those 613 mitzvot plus the secondary law in the Talmud, correct?
If we want to be exact and correct, so we would say that the 7 laws are principles. Exactly as the 10 commandments are also principles who are detailed with the 613 mitzvot. So it is not so much different as it appears in first view, because if you make the details of the 7 laws, you have almost 50 laws, and it is not so far from the 248 positive commandments of the Torah, especially if we consider that in our days we are able to apply only about 60 mitzvot of Judaism, because we don't have temple, we have not the laws of purity, and so on. So it is not so far as it seems in first glance. But I would say that there is a very special contents to the laws of mankind and of Bnei Noach too, because it is the unity of values. You know that many civilizations or religions took one idea, one value as the exclusive value. For example, Christianity considers that the only value is love and compassion, but making justice is not a value, it is a necessity. In spite of this, in Islam, in the Muslim world, they consider that the justice, making the law, is essential, and the love is secondary. In Judaism, we make what we call the unity of values, Yichud Amidot, and that is what we invite to in the whole contents of the mitzvot, because we cannot we cannot separate our monotheistic view of unity of every value in the world.
It is my understanding that the children of Noah, so to call yourself a son or a daughter of Noah is, in a way, it's an identity that makes you part of Jewish civilization without conversion to Judaism. Would I be correct in describing it like that?
Exactly, you are very right. The reason is that Judaism is not a religion. It is a national identity. And belonging to one national identity is very essential in the life of every fellow man. So you cannot come with this desire to convert everyone to be Jewish, but you can absolutely accept the idea that the Torah has something to give, to tell to every human being. For example, if you are American, or if you are Colombian, or Thai or Indian, so you have inside of you a very rich heritage of civilization, and being Jewish is would say that you will leave what you are to become another person. It is not fair to come with this exigence from any person. So
Right.
being Noahide is better than convert to Judaism.
So, in other words, the invitation to the Noahide movement is a way of bringing the nations of the world into a kind of alliance with Jewish civilization without requiring conversion to Judaism. In other words, if you become a son or a daughter of Noah, this is an actual status recognized by Jewish civilization, right? It's an identity recognized by Jewish civilization, by the Torah, and if you become a part of the Noahide identity, then in a way you are being invited to Torah study, to study Tanakh, to partake of the enormous literature and legal development in Jewish civilization. But you're not obligated to follow all of the laws that are laws that are specific to Jews. Although, I mean, I guess you're free to adopt some of them if you want to, but there is no obligation in the sense that a Jew is obligated to follow all of those mitzvot and the entire halakha.
Absolutely right. I would say that the Jewish people for the nations is a nation of priests, and the priest has obligations that the other persons don't have, and it must be also adapted to every civilization. I don't think that mitzvot that would be taken by Canadians, for example, fit also what Indian should do, because we are very different. We are multicultural And so you cannot invite a person in India to be an American, for example. So the way they would keep, for example, the Shabbat or study, and what are the questions that are interesting them are not the same in the different countries.
So it seems to me that the Noahide movement is a way, in fact, the very category, the identity, the Noahide identity and the movement, they refute the idea that many people have that Judaism is closed to the world and that Judaism doesn't want anything to have with other identities and other ways of life and so forth. It seems to me that the Noahide movement is actually a path forward so that all of humanity can be included in Judaism in a relatively uncomplicated way.
Not so complicated. It must be also especially proclamated. You know that when Abraham was chosen by God for a mission, his mission was to be a blessing for all the families of earth. So it is not something that occurred later in Judaism. It was at the origin. But it was not possible to accomplish seriously before we have a state. You know, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the French-speaking speaker, said that he cannot understand what the Jews have to say before they have a state of them and the possibility of speaking without fear. And now we have, yes, so we have a state, we have the possibility to speak, so we have to speak. It is our duty.
Yes. So do you see the growth of the Noahide movement as the way for the future, as a way for Judaism to connect with the rest of the world and fulfill the promise of the universal message and the true patriarchy of Abraham, who is supposed to be a father to all of us? We're all supposed to bless ourselves in his name in the end, right? That's the promise. We will all bless ourselves in the name of Abraham, which means, of course, that Judaism is open to everybody.
Yes, you're absolutely right, but it must be done in different ways. For example, when we speak with the Muslim world, it is absolutely different from the past Christian world. Because, for example, I was asked by many Noahides why when I speak with Muslims, I don't say to them to leave Islam and to become Bnei Noach. And the reason is because it is a problem inside of our family. You know, Ishmael is our cousin. So it is a different way of dealing that, for example, with ex-Buddhist person or ex-Christians. I think that we have today many opportunities of growing the Noahide movement, because you know that we are in a clash of civilizations, as says Huntington, and many things are moving from their original place in humanity, in mankind, and I think that the existential questions that are so important to give meaning to life are being more and more acute today. And so, as the people of Israel and the state of Israel, we have to give answers and responses to ethical interrogation. For example, how to deal with the evil, with terrorism. For example, it also a thing that is awaited by humanity from Israel.
Please explain to us if a practicing Christian, believing Christian, it begins to adopt some customs that are traditional in Judaism, so observing Sabbath, and maybe some of the rituals and traditions of that are traditional in Judaism. Is that person a Noahide?
We must understand that Christianity is a deviation from original Judaism. I would say that when Christianity appeared in the antiquity, it was because the philosophies of Greek tradition and also the values of Roman Empire clashed. And it was important to have a new message, and it was given by Christianity. The Christianity gave the light of Israel throughout a myth of the Christian theology. But today, the world don't have the necessity to be in contact with Israel by the way of a man. It is Jesus is not necessary, so they can live, they can keep their religious sensibility, but they don't have to keep their theology. The theology is obsolete. It is not necessary to have the light of Israel by a screen. They can have this light directly from Jerusalem. So, to be today, it's not necessary to be a Christian. I would say the contrary.
Okay, but my question was more along the lines of, so does it make any sense to say that Christians today are Noahides, or do they need to do something beyond being Christians to become Noahides? That's the question.
Yes, I would say that Christianity was a try to establish a kind of Noahism for the nations, but it did not success. So today, if you want to be a Noahide, you have to leave Christianity. You can keep this religious sensibility, but you cannot be a Christian.
I see. But I suppose that if you're a Muslim, it's the same thing. You would have to leave Islam to become a Noahide.
No, it is not exactly the same thing, because Islam is not doesn't practice idolatry. It is monotheistic, and they do not believe in incarnation, for example. But they must make some changes. These changes in Islam are possible according to the Quranic tradition itself. For example, the idea that Torah was abolished by Muhammad is not obligatory when you read the Quran itself. Maybe, on the contrary, it was clear that in the beginning Muhammad didn't want to abolish the Torah, but he wanted to give a message for his Arab followers.
Okay,
it
but
changed.
I have a question about that, because it seems to me that in order to be a Noahide, your ethics have to be at least consistent with the ethics of Judaism. And it seems to me that the unethical content of the Quran is then a problem. Why would you say that the Quran does not have to be abandoned in order to become a Noahide?
Because it is, first of all, very difficult for them to abandon, and secondly, because it may be it can be subject of new interpretations. For example, the Ahmadic movement made an effort to give interpretation of Quran that can fit with the ethics of Judaism. It is possible, but it demands an effort of interpretation. Help them to do it.
I took a look at the Ahmadiyya commentaries on the Quran, and because I've heard it said that the Ahmadiyya Muslims have rejected jihad, but the the Ahmadiyya commentaries on the Quran do not reject jihad, and they speak of a final war between Muslims and Christians and Jews, between Muslims and non-Muslims, that sounds very much like jihad, and it says that Islam will defeat the non-believers and so on and so forth. So that sounds to me like they're still in that general framework of belief.
So may you convince me that it is not possible to be a Muslim and a Noahide. We did not deal with this question.
I will be very happy to have that discussion with you. Hopefully we will be able to write to each other, because my personal impression after reading the Quran and some of the Hadith is that there is no way to interpret that, what is written there, so that it will be consistent with Jewish ethics. I just can't see it. It is one surah after another, where there are condemnations of Jews and Christians and other non-Muslims, and exhortations to kill them or enslave them, and that doesn't seem to be in any way consistent with the ethics of Judaism.
So we will have to study together.
Okay, I will hold you to that. I'm very excited by that proposal.
Absolutely.
Very good, very good. So tell us about Brit Olam and the activities of Brit Olam, and how it has grown and what it is doing today in the world.
Yes, Brit Olam, we have a site in many websites in many languages. We give we get questions and messages from all the world, and I have written a book of laws, Brit Shalom, concerning all the laws of Noahism, translated in 19 languages.
Wow.
Until now. And also a prior book, Brit Olam, translated only in 6 languages. And we encourage Noahides in the world not only to follow what is written in these books, but also to form communities, because it is a way of getting out of individualism, which is that is the illness of our civilization. And when it is possible, so we make congregations with physical meeting, but also by the way of internet. To become a Noahide, you have to make your declaration of adopting the laws of Noahide before 3 rabbis. We make it oftenly in every week, every month. We have groups of followers that come to us. I would say, for example, that we have about 1,000 people that make a community in India, in Andhra Pradesh, and it is growing every year. We have communities also in South America, North America, Europe, and also in Australia.
Wow.
So and Russia. So, the interest is growing. We plan also to establish a center in Jerusalem, a universal center of Judaism for Israel and all the nations.
Wow.
And we hope that in a few years it will be built.
Fantastic. Rav Shirky, for some years now, I have been calling myself Noahide, but I have not made my declaration in front of 3 rabbis. So in addition to having a conversation with you, like you promised, about whether Muslims should renounce Islam before becoming Noahides, I would also like, if we can arrange so that I can make my declaration in front of three
very
rabbis, maybe including yourself, so that I can be a formal Noahide. I would like that very much.
No problem. It is absolutely possible. So you will get us in our website, and I will give you all the connections. But we have two types of declaration. We have personal declaration individually, and you don't have to proclaim to everyone that you are Noahide. The best is the formal declaration in front of three rabbis, and it will be a pleasure for me to include you in the next forum of Noahide.
Fantastic. Rav Cherki, could you please spell the name of your website so that people who are interested in learning more about Noahide, what it means to be a Noahide Gentile, and how they can learn more about you and all that stuff? Can you tell us the address of your website?
If you type Noahide World Center, you will get us. Yes,
Noahide World Center.
World Center or Brit Olam.
Or Brit Olam. Perfect. I'm very, very grateful for your time, Rav Cherki, and hopefully we will stay in touch and see how I can contribute as a practicing Noahide to the growth of the Noahide movement, because I like you, believe that growing the Noahide movement is actually a really good strategy for Judaism to make itself known to the nations of the world, and also it's an easier path for contact with Judaism that is just very accessible to Gentiles everywhere in the world. And what it means is that Judaism has open arms for the nations of the world.
Absolutely, the whole planet, and we will have a better world when this movement will grow.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and I promise to stay in touch and to initiate those conversations with you, which I hope will be very enriching for both of us.
Shalom, shalom.